Life used to feel like it had a steady pulse, a reliable tempo that pushed you along, ready or not. For years, I just went with it, stepping in time to the beat laid out for me: college, job, marriage, kids. Each piece slotted into place like it was meant to be, part of a design I never thought to question. But if I'd looked closer, I might have caught the hiccups in the rhythm, the moments when the tune stumbled, when the steps felt off. Maybe I'd have noticed the cracks before they split wide open. I still remember the first time I felt that tremor, a quiet warning that something was shifting. It was a sticky summer night, and me and my wife, Jocelyn, were out on the deck, watching our boys chase lightning bugs. She let out a chuckle, but it was hollow, not reaching her eyes. I asked what was weighing on her, and she just gave a small smile, shaking her head. "Nothing," she said, dodging the question. I didn't push. Looking back, I kick myself for letting those moments slide, for mistaking her distance for a busy mind, her silence for peace. I wonder if there was ever a path where I could have rewritten the ending before it was set in stone. Deep down, maybe I always knew. That gnawing in my gut, that heaviness in my chest, they'd been whispering for years what I didn't want to hear. No matter how much I loved Jocelyn, no matter what we'd built, there was a piece of her I'd never touch. And tonight, standing in the shadowed hallway, bags packed, heart in pieces, I finally got it: some things can't be fixed. Jocelyn stood there, her gaze locked on the suitcases by the door, my laptop and briefcase stacked nearby. They'd been sitting there for a while, but it was like she was only now seeing them. Her throat tightened, her breath catching as she turned to me. "You've lost it, Warren," she said, her voice shaking, caught between fury and shock. "You're really walking out on me and the kids over one stupid argument?" "I was tipsy, I screwed up, but I didn't betray you. You're acting like this is the end of everything." I didn't say a word, there was nothing left to say. She stepped closer, and I raised a hand, not to warn her off, just to keep some space. She froze, and I saw it, a flicker of doubt in her eyes, her posture shifting just a hair. She was starting to get it. This wasn't just me being pissed or prideful. This was something bigger, something final. Her breath hitched, and she stepped back, her voice softer but firm. "At least tell me why." I let out a long breath. "Because I finally saw it all for what it is." Her brows knit together. "Saw it?" she snapped. "What's that supposed to mean? You always talk like you've got all the answers, like I'm too dense to keep up. Just spit it out plain." I rubbed my temple, knowing there was no gentle way to say it. "I'm sorry, Jocelyn," I said. "I don't want this, but life, it boxes us in. We get up, go to work, pay the bills, worry about who's eyeing who. We're so buried in the grind we forget to look up and see the whole picture. But tonight, something made me look." She held her breath, waiting. I went on. "What I saw, it hit me hard." Her eyes narrowed, frustration creeping in. "What did you see, Warren?" I met her stare, and even in the dim light, I could tell she felt the weight of what was coming. "I saw us, not just who we are now, but who we were, and what we've become. This isn't about that mess at the party. You're right, leaving over one rough night would be dumb. That's not it. I'm leaving because I finally admitted to myself that this marriage was a mistake. I love you, but not the way I should. And you don't love me the way you deserve to. You stay, not because you're happy, but because you think it's what you're supposed to do. But we're too young to fake it for another 40 years. Her hands balled into fists, her breathing shaky. I could hear a heartbeat, hers, mine, I don't know. But I kept going. "That's why I'm leaving," I said. "And once we're done talking, I'm gone." 3 hours earlier, I'd rolled into the driveway at exactly 9 p.m. My phone hadn't buzzed since I left the Willow Creek trailer park, just outside of Tulsa. Jocelyn and what seemed like half her cousins had been laughing and dancing, same as they did every month, same as they had for the last 8 years. Our house in Omaha, a city of 500,000, was dark except for the faint glow of the motion sensor light in the yard. I trudged up the driveway, exhaustion sinking into my bones. I felt closer to 70 than 34. All I wanted was to slip inside, crack open a six-pack of course, and be left alone. I flicked on the kitchen light, dropped into a chair at the table, and popped the cap off a bottle. The cold beer stung going down. Another sip, and I waited for my phone to light up. Nothing. My eyes wandered to the fridge. Our son Jasper's latest school artwork was pinned up, held by random magnets. A photo of our other boy, Gideon, mid-sprint, catching his first pass in a peewee football game. My throat tightened. Gideon, with his mom's dark curls and hazel eyes, is so different from mine. Those boys, they were my world. Jocelyn, too, once. A few hours ago, I'd come close to losing it all, like standing on a cliff, feeling the ground crumble, knowing I couldn't step back. I took another swig, let my head rest on the table for a second, then finished the bottle. I stood, climbed the stairs, and pulled out the suitcases we'd used on our last trip to Mexico. I packed shirts, pants, a jacket, my razor, toothbrush, meds, everything I'd need to start fresh. Leaning against the dresser, a wave of nausea hit. I pushed it down. This wasn't a vacation. This was me breaking free, and there was no coming back. If I dwelled on it too long, I'd falter. So I didn't. I just kept packing, one thing at a time. I scooped up my laptop, briefcase, and the papers I needed for my teaching gig, hauling everything downstairs. I stacked it all by the living room, tucked out of sight unless someone wandered in. Then I grabbed the six-pack, down one already, and headed to the study. The hallway bent left, opening into a cozy office space. I dropped into the recliner at the far end, setting the cores on the wooden side table beside me. A floor lamp loomed nearby, unlit. I climbed onto a chair and tweaked the overhead bulb so even if someone flicked the switch, the room would stay dim. Satisfied, I settled back, the weight of this house pressing down on me, a place that never really felt like mine. I cracked open another beer and sipped it slowly. At 10 p.m., my phone buzzed. Jocelyn's name lit up the screen of my old Motorola flip phone, glowing in the dark. I let it ring. 3 minutes later, a voicemail popped up. I ignored it. Another call, then another, Jocelyn, her dad, her brother, her cousin, then Jocelyn again. If I had any spark left, I might have chuckled at how relentless they were. But that part of me, the part that could laugh at stuff like this, had fizzled out long ago. I wasn't sure I'd ever find anything worth smiling about again. The landline rang, then my cell, then the landline again. I finished my second beer and popped the third. I'd already lost it all, but some stubborn piece of me still held onto the crazy hope that maybe I could rewind the clock, undo tonight. Deep down, though, I knew better. This wasn't just about tonight. Things had been coming apart for years. Fixing it would mean rewriting the last 8 years, and that was a pipe dream. The October air carried a sharp edge, cool but not freezing, just past the big event tent. The RV park near Lake Madison, out in Billings, Montana, sprawled quiet and empty, perfect for Vernon Hayes and his crew's wild monthly bashes. No nosy neighbors, no cops, just loud music, endless drinks, and a crowd ready to cut loose. Vernon and his wife, Loretta, had raised 7 kids, 6 still around. When their whole extended family and buddies showed up, the head count easily topped 100. Vernon, who'd made a killing in construction, loved throwing these epic Saturday night parties. Country rock blasted from the speakers, tables sagged under piles of fried catfish, pulled pork, seasonal crab legs, and more beer and whiskey than even this bunch could handle. Jocelyn and I didn't make everyone, but we showed up when we could. Vernon and Loretta had tried hard to make me, a guy from up north, feel welcome, but I was always an outsider. In their world, real men poured concrete, fixed trucks, or sold land. Me? I stood in front of bored college kids, rambling about poetry, stuff the Hayes family had zero use for. The drinking kicked off early, bottles popping by lunch. There were RVs and cabins for anyone too wasted to drive. Jocelyn and I always had close friends watch our boys, Jasper and Gideon. Some nights we made it home, others, we didn't. It was just how things worked, no need to spell it out. By dusk, the old wooden dance platform was alive, country tunes pumping through the speakers. The smell of grilled meat hung heavy, and folks moved to the music under strands of fairy lights. I wasn't big on drinking or dancing, so I hung back, munching on some cherries, watching the scene. Then I saw her. Jocelyn glided through the soft light, her cream dress clinging to her frame, her auburn hair catching the last bits of sunset. I'd seen plenty of stunning women, but none like her. At these gatherings, I often caught myself staring, struck by how easily she blended into this world, a world I'd never fit into. Yet, out of every guy here, she'd picked me, the northerner, the oddball. I'd pulled her away from the string of local boys who'd once vied for her. As always, the mix of liquor, loud music, and old flames stirred up trouble on the dance floor. Loretta's ex got too close, pressing against her until her husband, Curtis, decked him. 5 minutes later, they were slapping shoulders, laughing like it was nothing. Then Loretta tugged Curtis off into the dark, same as they always did after a scuffle. The platform got packed, even Vernon and Loretta swaying slow to the rhythm. That's when I noticed Jocelyn was gone. A pit formed in my stomach as I scanned the crowd. Then I spotted her, dancing close with a tall guy, his dark hair glinting under the lights. His hands slid lower than they should have, brushing the hem of her dress. I saw her push them away, but it didn't matter. He was holding her too tight. Jasper Conley, one of Jocelyn's old flames, was the kind who never got over her picking me. For years, he lingered on the sidelines, refusing to move on. He'd still text her now and then, swing by unannounced. Jocelyn always swore they were just buddies, but at every one of these shindigs, Jasper found a way to get too close, his hands drifting where they had no business being. He never passed up a chance to toss a jab my way, always pulling laughs from the crowd at my expense. I stepped toward them, my chest tight, envy burning through me. I swallowed it down. Jocelyn was buzzed, not sloppy, but loose enough to lean into his hold. I edged closer, making sure they heard me. "Can I step in, Jasper?" Jocelyn turned, her smile slow and easy, like nothing was wrong. "Hey, hon, just dancing with Jasper. It's our old homecoming tune." I owed him one. "You cool with that, right?" Jasper smirked, and to make sure I noticed, his right hand slipped under the hem of her top, grazing her side. The shadows hid it from the party, but not from me. Jocelyn stiffened, shooting him a sharp glance, then looked at me. Was she pissed at him for crossing a line or at me for seeing it? My hands balled up. "Jasper, get your damn hand off my wife." His grin stretched wider. "Or what, Warren?" "Hell, what kind of name is Warren? Sounds like something you'd call a kid's pet hamster." He dragged out the syllables, chuckling. "That's too damn good." I hadn't swung at anyone in 20 years, but I squared up. "I don't care about my name. Let go of my wife." Jocelyn finally pushed him back. "All right, Jasper, knock it off. Why do you always act like a jerk around Warren? He's my husband, not some guy like you, trying to start a brawl because you know you'd win. It's not right." Then she turned to me. "And Warren, I'm not a kid. Jasper's drunk, but I can handle him. I've known him forever. You don't need to make this a big deal." She was trying to protect me, like I needed shielding. A few folks nearby caught the exchange, their muffled snickers cutting through the night. My pulse hammered in my head. "What the hell did you just say?" I snapped. Her face shifted, like she only now realized what she'd let slip. "Oh, Warren, I didn't mean," Jasper shoved her aside, stepping closer. "She means if you try anything, I'll knock you flat." He leaned in, smirking. "Only reason I haven't is 'cause she keeps begging me not to. What kind of guy hides behind his wife?" I bit my lip hard, tasting blood. "You know what kind, Jasper?" He sneered. "A loser who stole my girl and thinks that makes him tough. Got her pregnant twice, but let's be real, maybe she wasn't even sure you were up for the job." Footsteps thundered behind me. Jocelyn's brother, Quentin, and his buddy grabbed Jasper's arms, yanking him back. I lunged forward, but my shoe hit a slick spot, spilled whiskey, maybe, and my legs buckled. I crashed onto the wooden platform, the impact stealing my breath. Stars flashed in my vision. Jasper barely fought the guys holding him, he didn't need to. He'd already won. "Speaking of being up for the job," he said, his voice dripping with mockery, "ask Jocelyn. She used to think I was pretty damn impressive. Hell, a toothpick could probably do better than you." Laughter rippled through the crowd. I dragged myself up, scanning the faces. Some hid their grins. Then I found Jocelyn. She wasn't laughing, but she wasn't mad either, and that cut deeper. Vernon Hayes' voice sliced through the noise. "That's enough, Jasper. You've been coming to these parties for years, but you went too far tonight. Get out." I looked at Jocelyn, waiting for her to speak, but she just turned her head, deliberate. "Dad, don't," she said, her voice steady. "Jasper's just had too much. He didn't mean it. You know how he and Warren get, they bicker, but it's nothing. Besides, I promised him this dance." Even Vernon stared at her like she was someone else. Jocelyn met my eyes, her expression unreadable. "Warren's a grown man, Dad. If he's upset, he knows how to handle it, right, hon?" I stood, said nothing, and walked away. Jasper's laughter trailed me, mixed with more chuckles. I told myself Jocelyn wasn't one of them, but I didn't look back to check. Vernon caught up, falling into step beside me, his voice low and calm. I know you're mad, son, but listen. I'm sure Jocelyn loves you, but women, he sighed, shaking his head. Even the good ones, sometimes they need to see their man stand up for them. Maybe up north, that's not a thing, but around here, a woman won't respect a guy who lets another man cross a line without pushing back. Even if Jasper had laid you out, at least she'd know you cared enough to try. I kept walking. Maybe you're right, Vernon. Maybe that's how it works here. But where I'm from, a woman who loves her husband doesn't put him in that spot to begin with. Not if she means it. Not if their marriage is solid. I met his gaze. Right now, I'm not sure about either. His hand rested on my shoulder, and out of respect, I didn't pull away. Maybe she messed up, he admitted, quieter. Maybe she crossed a line. I can't fix that, I'm just her dad. But I know she loves you. Don't do anything rash. Grab a drink, cool off. This'll pass. Maybe. But I left for good. At 13:45 a.m., headlights cut through the dark. I sat in the faint glow of the den, a beer and a half deep, not drunk, just numb enough to feel nothing. Car doors slammed, and muffled voices floated through the night. I stayed put, waiting to see who'd walk in. I cracked the window a bit, letting the chilly air slip into the already cold house. The driveway dipped low, carrying their hushed words like they were right next to me. He's here, Quentin muttered. Thank God. Jocelyn said nothing. What a damn coward, Loretta snapped. A sorry excuse for a man. Quentin chimed in, relax, Loretta. After the mess you made, be glad he came home at all instead of taking off with some other woman like most guys would. Shut it, she shot back. God, my husband, Jocelyn snapped, her voice low and sharp. A husband who storms off like a kid when his ego gets bruised. Loretta snorted. What kind of man pulls that? Quentin cut in, his tone biting. The kind whose wife lets her ex paw at her in front of a whole damn party. If you weren't my sister, and if you didn't have kids, I'd tell him to grab his bags and find someone who doesn't humiliate him like that. I sat frozen, listening. Jocelyn had always been the ideal small-town woman, never swore, never raised her voice, not even in private. But tonight had torn down a lot of illusions. The front door creaked open, the hallway light flicking on. Quentin stepped in first, Jocelyn trailing close. He spotted me right away. Hey, Warren. The silence that followed hung heavy, like a storm waiting to break. I wasn't stringent about speaking first. Finally, Jocelyn broke the quiet. Warren. I didn't look at her. You okay, man? Quentin asked. Am I okay? Thanks for asking, you jerk, Jocelyn shot at him. I smirked. Love you too, darling. Jocelyn's whole frame stiffened. If Quentin hadn't grabbed her arm, I wasn't sure what she'd have done. Her hair was a mess, her makeup smeared, and her once crisp cream dress was now creased and stained with something dark, wine, maybe. Whatever went down after I left the party had clearly carried on without me. Real clever, she spat, sarcasm dripping. You think it's cute to just vanish without a word? Who does that? I finally met her eyes. Maybe the kind of guy who watches his wife let another man's hands roam all over her in front of everyone. Her face flushed deep red. Quentin gave her a hard look, then turned to me. You had us worried, man, he said, his voice even. Why didn't you pick up your phone? Didn't feel like chatting. Quentin rubbed his neck, exhaling. Fair enough. I'll let you two sort this out. It's been a hell of a night. He paused, then added, you sure you're all right? I let out a dry laugh. I'm not okay, Quentin. Probably won't be for a while. But that's not your mess to clean up. Thanks for getting her home. If it was my call, she could have stayed with Jasper or crashed at the RV park. Quentin glanced between us, then let out a slow breath. All right, Jocelyn, walk me out. I stayed put as their voices drifted from the driveway, just outside his pickup. Damn him, Jocelyn muttered, frustration thick. He's such a prick. Any other guy would have decked Jasper or at least gotten plastered, done something instead of just slinking off. Quentin sighed. I'd have laid Jasper out. So would most guys we know. But Warren's not like that. You knew that when you married him. A long pause hung between them before Jocelyn spoke, softer. I remember. Quentin's voice turned low, steady. You told me, and I quote, he's not the guy who comes home smelling like oil, drunk every Friday, or snaps at you for a few extra pounds. He'll take care of me and the kids. He's loyal, a good man. You wanted different, and you got it. Now you're making him look like a fool. If Jasper didn't get what he wanted tonight, he probably will soon. His tone hardened. I used to look up to you, Jocelyn. Now I'm wondering if you're just another woman who'll burn through a few husbands, dragging new guys home while mom and dad shake their heads at the mess. Jesus, Quentin, grow up, she snapped. I got caught up, okay? It felt good to feel alive again. My husband should have stepped up, pulled me away, shown me who I'm with. But I forgot, he's not that guy. He's pissed now, but it'll blow over. One night, one fight. I'll go in, smooth things over, and by morning, this'll be nothing. People don't split over one argument. Quentin let out a bitter chuckle. You really think that? You think I don't know your husband? I know his world better than you. I've got clients whose kids go to his college. They talk about him. He's young, sharp, and plenty of women on that campus notice him. You think he's gonna mope over you forever? Hell, I heard one of his colleagues was after him so hard the department head had to step in. He sighed. Go inside, do what you think you gotta do. But if you lose him, trust me, he won't be alone long. The conversation died. Jocelyn stood in the study doorway, still as a statue. She didn't say a word, and neither did I. Then she took a step toward me. I raised my hand. Stop. Sit over there by the bookshelf. Surprise flickered across her face. She'd expected to glide over, drop to her knees, wrap her arms around me, press her cheek to mine, and make it all vanish. She thought we'd end up tangled up together, and by morning, none of this would matter. Not this time. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. Warren, I know I screwed up tonight. I don't need another lecture, I've had enough of those. You'd think I was the outsider and they were your family, the way they've been talking to me. But I was drunk, okay? So was Jasper. You know our history. We go way back, since we were kids. He's never gotten over me choosing you. I feel kinda bad for him, I do. I raised an eyebrow. So you let him feel you up out of pity? Her face tightened, irritation flashing. He's been down lately. A little harmless flirting cheered him up. It wasn't supposed to be anything, until you barged in acting like some possessive nutcase and made it a thing. He's my friend, Warren. You're my husband, the man I love. Jocelyn perched stiffly on the creaky old chair, the least comfortable seat in the room, just as I'd planned. I'm not trying to dodge this, I said, keeping my tone even, but I've got a question. I left that party around 7 o'clock. My phone didn't buzz until almost 10 o'clock. I know it was a big shindig, lots going on, but 3 hours went by before anyone noticed I was gone. If we hadn't had that blow-up, you probably wouldn't have realized until sunrise. That tells me where I stand in your world. Her mouth opened, a spark of anger flaring, but then she paused. Something seemed to click. Her eyes widened just a fraction. Oh, Warren, you don't know, do you? I folded my arms. Know what? She rubbed her hands along her arms, like a chill had hit her. After you took off, everything went to hell. Honestly, I didn't think about you for a bit, nobody did. But that doesn't mean I don't care. Things just got wild. I didn't flinch. Wild how? She swallowed hard. After you left, I danced with Jasper. I was mad. I know you're not the type to start swinging, but damn, it stung that you didn't even try. If someone had crossed me like that, I'd have been there, holding you, making sure you were okay. That's what I wanted. But you just walked away. So yeah, I was pissed, and I danced with him. Her voice dropped. He was plastered. After a couple of songs, he wandered off, probably to the lake or behind an RV. I didn't think much of it, just chatted with some folks. Then I heard a scream. She let out a shaky breath. Everyone ran toward the water. There was a crowd around someone on the ground. I pushed through and she hesitated. It was Jasper. His face was wrecked, one eye swollen shut. Someone set his wrist and a few fingers were busted. Quentin and some others were standing over him, arguing about calling the cops. Apparently, a few roughnecks jumped him, saying we were too loud, ruining their night. He fought back, but he was outnumbered. It was ugly, Warren. We called an ambulance, and the sheriff sent a couple of deputies to track down the guys who did it. After that, people started checking in, making sure everyone else was accounted for. I let the silence hang before laying it out plain. And still, it took 3 hours. Even after hearing about a bunch of violent punks running around, you didn't stop to wonder where I was. Jocelyn bit her lip, looking away. Then it hit me. You weren't even there, were you? My voice stayed steady, but my chest tightened. You went with him to the hospital. Her eyes flicked to mine, cautious at first, then defiant. He was hurt, Warren. He was in pain. He asked me to go with him. And you couldn't say no, I said, flat. It was the right thing to do, she snapped. If you weren't so worked up, you'd see that. Of course, I said, my voice low and sharp. An old friend, one you used to sleep with. Naturally, you had to be there for him. Her shoulders stiffened. I stepped closer, my tone quieter but cutting. You slept with him, didn't you? She looked away for a split second before locking eyes with me, her voice calm and deliberate. Yes, Warren. You already knew that. We were serious, together a lot. And if you want the truth, he was good, damn good. Does that make me some kind of tramp? What about you? You weren't exactly pure when we got married. Should I hold every woman you've been with against you? I didn't say a word. That was the past, this was now. She went on. He asked me to go, so I did. I sat with him, held his good hand while the paramedics worked. There were EMTs, nurses, people everywhere. Nothing happened. And even if we'd been alone, it wouldn't have. Jasper respects me too much to try anything. I let out a short, bitter laugh. Did I say I was jealous? You don't have to, she murmured. I see it every time he's around. And I get it, if you were hanging out with some woman from your past, I'd feel the same. Her voice softened. Did you even think about me? I didn't answer. She looked down. Warren, that's not fair. There was so much chaos, Jasper was hurt, people were scrambling to sort it out. So the answer's no, I said. She didn't argue. When did someone finally remember I existed? Her voice was quiet. After they fixed Jasper up, his cousin came to get him. I rode back with Loretta and Curtis. When I got here, Dad asked if I'd seen you. I let out a slow, sour chuckle. That's rich. Your father noticed I was missing before you did. Her eyes shimmered, tears threatening to spill. You're just trying to hurt me now. I know I messed up, and you want to rub it in. Congrats, it's working. She held my gaze, waiting, for what, I wasn't sure. A crack in my anger, a hint of forgiveness. I had nothing left to give. Well, I said, flat, at least we've got it all out there. Her head jerked up. What? I stuck around to talk to you first. Now I can go. Panic flashed in her eyes. Go where? You're not serious. We fought, okay, it was bad, but I love you. People don't just walk away over one fight. What happened to you this morning? We were fine. What changed in a day to make you want to throw it all away? I didn't answer. Instead, I nodded toward the hallway where our boys were sleeping. Go. She hesitated, then got up and stepped out. I knew what she'd see, my bags, laptop, briefcase, all packed and ready. A few seconds later, she came back, moving slower, shaking her head like she couldn't believe it. You're really doing this, Warren. You're actually leaving me and the boys over one argument? Her voice wavered, caught between frustration and desperation. I was drunk, all right? I made a dumb mistake, but I didn't cheat. I didn't do anything to make you toss our whole life away. You're acting crazy. I didn't respond. She took a shaky step toward me, but I raised a hand, just enough to stop her. She froze, her shoulders tightening as she searched my face. Can you at least tell me why? Give me that much. I met her eyes. I saw things clear for once. She blinked, confusion crossing her face. Saw things clear? I sighed. God, Warren, she muttered, rubbing her forehead. Sometimes I swear you get a kick out of making things sound more complicated than they need to be, Jocelyn said, her voice sharp with exasperation. I know you think you're smarter than me, smarter than my whole family, smarter than everyone around here. But just once, could you say something in a way I can actually get? She wasn't wrong. For years, I'd carried this quiet belief that my way of seeing things put me above others. I never stopped to think how isolating that was. I'm sorry, Jocelyn, I said, and I meant it. I don't want this. But life, it pulls us into this grind. We wake up, head to work, pay the bills, raise the kids, fuss over little stuff like if we're getting heavy or if our spouse is eyeing someone else. We get so wrapped up, we forget to step back and look at the whole picture. We don't see how far we've drifted until something shakes us awake. She held her breath, waiting. Tonight, I finally saw the truth. Her head shook, frustration etching deeper lines into her face. You keep saying that, but what does it mean? What did you see? This was the hardest thing I'd ever had to say. Once the words were out, there'd be no undoing them. I was cutting the ropes that tied us to the life we'd built, shattering the future I'd pictured with our boys, with her. But she deserved the truth. I saw us, Jocelyn. I saw who we are now, who we were before, and what we've turned into. And none of it's about what went down at the party. You're right, walking away over one screw-up would be ridiculous. That's not why I'm leaving. She swallowed hard, bracing herself. I'm leaving because I realized our marriage was a mistake. I love you, but you don't love me the way you should. I'll never be enough for you, not in the way you need. And you're too good a person to walk away, even if you should. But we're too young to spend the next 40 or 50 years stuck in something that's not right. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She wasn't just crying for herself, she was grieving the life we'd made, the one we were about to lose. In that moment, I knew she loved me, just not the way I'd always loved her. How can you say that? She whispered, her voice breaking. How can you be so cruel? I held her gaze, my tone steady. Answer 2 questions. If I'm wrong, I'll stay. A flicker of fear crossed her face, like she sensed what was coming. Have you ever cheated on me, Jocelyn? Have you been with another man since we got married? She didn't speak, but she didn't need to. Her silence said it all. Thank you, I murmured. That's why I still love you. You could have lied, spun some half-truth, but you won't lie to me. You know the truth would break me, and we both know what it is. The silence was heavier than ever. And the second question, are you in love with me? Tears welled in her eyes. Warren, I love you. How can you even ask that? You're my husband. That's not what I asked. She faltered. You love your parents, our boys, your brother. You'd do anything for them. But being in love, that's different. It's when someone's nearness makes your pulse race, when their touch sends a spark through you, when you ache for them, dream of them, need them. That's how I feel about you. A sob caught in her throat. I don't know if you ever felt that for me, I went on. Maybe you did once, but I know you don't know. You care about me, but not the way a wife should love her husband. She shot up from the chair, closing the distance between us, fire in her eyes. Is this about intimacy? Is that what this is really about? You're mad because I'm not some wild thing in the bedroom? I stepped into the light. She gasped, her face paling. Oh my God. I knew what she saw, bruises blooming across my face, one eye nearly swollen shut, shades of purple fading to sickly yellow, a split lip puffed up and cracked. You never say my name when we're together, I said, my voice cold. You've never sounded the way you did with someone else. You think I haven't noticed how little you want me? She froze, then reached out, her trembling fingers brushing the swollen skin around my eye. Her breath hitched. Oh my God, she whispered, horror creeping into her voice. They got to you too. Why didn't you go to the hospital? I tried to grin, but the pain stabbed through my face. Judging by her wince, I must have looked as rough as I felt. You should see the other guy, I muttered. Her eyes widened, realization sinking in. After I'd left the party, I'd stood by Lake Madison, the distant hum of music filtering through the night. I didn't need to look back to know she was still there, dancing with him again. I could have turned around, faced Jasper, settled it right then. I'd taken plenty of hits before, growing up a skinny kid on the streets of South Philly, scrapping with boys who didn't have time for someone smaller. I'd fought, lost, learned how to take a punch, how to keep going. but I'd never felt as beat down as I did now. This wasn't about fists or cracked ribs. This was about knowing the fight was over long before tonight. Taking a beating didn't scare me, it wasn't what held me back. It was the way she'd looked at me, daring me to react to Jasper's taunts, the way she let him touch her, move his hands over her like he belonged there. Deep down, I'd always known. I'd ignored it, buried it, but now I couldn't. She'd given herself to him once, and no matter how many years passed, that piece of her was never mine. How do you build a life on something that was never yours? I leaned against a tree, staring at the thick clouds cloaking the sky, wishing I could turn back time and unravel what had come undone long ago. How do you forgive the person who was your everything when you know they've given their body, maybe even their heart, to someone else? Had they laughed at me? Had she really said I was just a punchline to her? The sound of clumsy footsteps yanked me back to the moment. Someone was crashing through the underbrush, their boots scraping against rocks and roots. I knew who it was before I even turned. I hadn't planned on fighting, throwing punches wouldn't undo betrayal. So when my fist slammed into his jaw, I was as shocked as he was. The blow sent him sprawling, a sharp grunt escaping as the impact stole his breath. Before he could recover, I shoved him hard, making him stumble. His body jolted, a low, guttural groan spilling out. I swung again, aiming low, but he twisted just in time, and my boot grazed his hip instead. He flailed, grabbing my leg and yanking me off balance. I hit the ground hard, my back smacking the dirt, but I scrambled onto my elbows fast. My eyes adjusted to the faint moonlight just as he started to rise. The college ring on my finger must have cut his cheek. Jesus, Warren, Jasper muttered, swiping at the blood with his knuckles. Didn't think you had the guts. Sneaking up like a coward, huh? At least you finally showed some spine. His voice turned darker, colder. But now I'm gonna mess you up. And when I'm done, I'll make sure everyone, including Jocelyn, knows what a sorry little punk you were for swinging first. I was still trying to stand when he charged, his full weight crashing into me, flattening me to the ground. His fist came down like a sledgehammer, smashing into the side of my head. I didn't see it coming. A shrill ringing filled my ears, and my left eye went dark. My breath caught, thick with the taste of blood. Another punch landed, harder, and the world spun. Had he blinded me? I felt him shift, readying to finish it, but something, instinct, desperation, kicked in. I jerked my head as his next swing came, his fist grazing past, the momentum throwing him off balance. That was my opening. I rolled away, dragged myself up, my ribs screaming with every move. Jasper was already getting to his knees, but I drove my boot into his face. His head snapped back with a sickening crunch, and he collapsed, groaning. I went for another kick, but he was quicker than I thought. His fist slammed into my gut, fire exploding through my ribs. I stumbled back, gasping, each breath like a blade in my chest. Something was wrong, broken ribs, maybe. Jasper crawled to all fours, his breathing ragged. His eyes locked on mine, wild, like this wasn't just a fight anymore. He wanted me gone. If he got the upper hand again, I wouldn't get up. When he lunged, I sidestepped, letting him crash forward. He caught himself with one arm, the other stretched for balance. I didn't think, I acted. I grabbed his outstretched arm, yanked it back, and slammed my forearm into his spine, pinning him to the dirt. Something popped. Jasper screamed, his body thrashing under me, trying to break free. I didn't let go. I twisted his arm harder, his cries ripping through the night. No one was coming, no one could hear. He rolled onto his side, shuddering in pain. Before he could push me off, I dropped onto his chest, one knee grinding into his forearm, the other pressing his elbow. His breath hitched, agony silencing him. I slammed my knee into his elbow once, twice, then leaned in, letting my weight sink into the joint, trapping him like a wounded animal. After a moment, I eased off and rolled onto my back, exhausted. I wasn't scared of him anymore. He clutched his wrecked arm, rocking in pain, his breaths coming in short, ragged gasps. I should have felt bad, but this guy had humiliated me, torn my marriage apart, taken my family. So no, I didn't feel a damn thing. The faint twang of country music still drifted through the trees. The party at the RV park near Lake Madison in Billings, Montana, was still going strong. Nobody had noticed what happened out here. Nobody cared. I turned to Jasper, grabbed his broken arm. He flinched, trying to raise his other hand to block me, but I twisted his wrist sharp. A fresh wave of pain hit, and he groaned, his body slumping. "You're a real piece of work," he spat, his voice weak but bitter. "You broke my arm, and you don't even give a damn." "Damn right," I said. His breath hitched. "You win, all right? Just let me go. I need a doctor." "In a minute, Jasper," I said, crouching to meet his eyes. "First, we're gonna have a little talk." "Go to hell," he muttered. "I'll help myself." I drove my elbow into his ribs, twice. He curled up, struggling to breathe, stumbling back. I grabbed his right hand, prying his fingers apart. He was too weak to resist. I took his pinky, pressing it hard between my thumb and finger. "I'm gonna ask you some questions, Jasper," I said, my voice calm. "And you're gonna answer straight." Jasper glared at me through puffy, bruised eyes, his breath short and ragged. "Go to hell," he growled. I bent his pinky back, slow, feeling the joint resist before it snapped with a sickening pop. The finger dangled at an odd angle. His eyes bulged, his mouth opening to scream, but I drove my fist into his gut, just below his ribs. The air rushed out of him, his body jerking as he gasped for breath. I waited, watching his chest heave, his muscles twitching as he fought through the pain. Only when I saw clarity return to his eyes did I speak. "Here's the deal, Jasper. Every time you lie, or I don't like your answer, I break another finger. Run out of fingers, I move to your toes. If we're still not done, well, some breaks don't ever heal right. Got it?" His face twisted with rage, but he nodded, his voice rough. "You think you're calling the shots now, Warren? Fine, ask your questions. But one day, this'll come back around, and you'll disappear. No one will find you." "Maybe," I said, tightening my grip on his mangled hand. "But right now, you're the one on the ground. How long have you been sleeping with my wife?" He went quiet for a moment, then smirked. "This time, or before?" I clenched my jaw. "I knew about it before. I'm talking about since we got married." His smirk faded, and when he spoke, his voice was steady, almost smug, which made it sting worse. 4 years. My stomach lurched. 4 years? He nodded. "Yeah." My voice cracked. "How? When? How often?" Jasper let out a slow breath, like he was savoring a memory. "I never stopped wanting her, Warren. From the day she married you, I tried everything, stopping by her job, showing up at your place, playing the sad guy, cracking jokes to make her smile. But she wouldn't budge. Drove me nuts." His swollen face twisted into something like a grin, but it wasn't friendly. "Then, about 4.5 years back, we bumped into each other at a gas station. Pure chance. No flirting, no games, just her asking if I wanted to grab a coffee. First time, nothing happened. Second time, same. For 6 months, nothing. But she kept meeting me." I barely breathed as he went on. "Then one night, she showed up at my place. Warren, she was different, alive, hungry, like she'd been holding back too long. She didn't hesitate, didn't hold back. She wanted me." His voice thickened with smug satisfaction. Man, it was something else. Pain shot through me, sharp and raw. He coughed, spat onto the dirt, then kept going. "I thought she'd leave you after that. Next day, I went to your house, tried to pull her close. She slapped me hard, screamed she'd call the cops, get me locked up. I wanted to hate her." His breath hitched, his body trembling with the memory. I was pissed. She was playing me, lying, cheating. He exhaled sharply. "I stayed away 3 months, trying to move on. Then, out of nowhere, she showed up at my door. Didn't say a word, just walked in, straight to the bedroom. We didn't come up for air for 2 days. She said you'd taken the boys to Pittsburgh to see your mom, said you'd be gone in a week. We spent 5 days together, Warren. 5 days. He shook his head, staring past me, lost in the memory. I thought she was mine again. His face darkened. But the second you got back, she cut me off. When I'd see her, she'd be polite, friendly, but cold. No touching, no sign she still wanted me. That's how it's been for 4 years. Every few months, she'd come back, we'd spend a day or two going at it, then she'd go home to you, acting like nothing happened. His words hit like a sledgehammer. This wasn't a one-time slip, a moment of weakness. For 4 years, she'd played the loyal wife while sneaking off to him whenever she needed something I couldn't give. Jasper groaned, his body spasming under me, but I didn't let go. "Sorry," I muttered, "guess I wasn't paying attention." His bloodshot eyes met mine, burning with quiet hatred. "I'm gonna make you pay, Warren." I barely heard him, my ears ringing, my breaths uneven. I didn't want to know more, but I had to. It was like digging a knife deeper into a wound, knowing it'd hurt worse but unable to stop. I reached for his third finger. He tensed, like he might fight, but then slumped, defeated. He knew he couldn't win. "She stayed with me for the money, right?" I said, my voice eerily calm. "That's all it was." Jasper let out a rough, bitter laugh. "You really don't get it, do you?" I squeezed his finger. "Then make me understand." He coughed, his breath rasping through his busted lip. "She didn't need your money, dumbass. I'm in construction, I pull in almost as much as you. And in a few years, her folk'll split their estate. She'll have more cash than you could ever touch." I gritted my teeth. "Then why?" His smile came back, sharp and cruel. "Because she loves you, idiot." I stared, my grip tightening. "She loves me, and that's why she's with you?" He chuckled, wincing through the pain. "God, you still don't see it. She tries to stay faithful, she really does. But it builds up, frustration, boredom. When she can't take it anymore, she needs a release, so she comes to me, and I give her what she's craving." My pulse pounded in my skull. He smirked up at me. "She told me once she could fall asleep while you were trying to please her. That's how thrilling you are." Rage surged through me. "You bore her to sleep, Warren. But me? I make her feel alive." Something broke inside me. For the first time in my life, I wanted to end someone. For a fleeting moment, I thought I might. Instead, I settled for another crack, snapping Jasper's fourth finger under my grip. His body convulsed in pain, but I pressed my hand against his throat, stifling his cries. When he finally went still, I let go, wiping the sweat from my forehead. Jasper gasped, eyes wide with terror as he saw me reach for my belt buckle. "Please," he choked out, trembling, real fear creeping into his shattered voice. I tilted my head. "Please what?" I leaned closer, my voice low. "You know, Jasper, I might not have been enough for Jocelyn, but I can promise you this, you'll never be enough for anyone again." His breath hitched as my fingers tightened around my belt. "Remember that guy?" I went on, my tone eerily calm. "The one whose wife got creative with a blade. They patched him up, but things were never the same. I wonder what the fish in Lake Madison would do with you. Maybe I should find out." For the first time, Jasper looked truly scared, his lips cracked, his breaths ragged. He believed I'd do it. And for one dark, sick moment, I thought I might. Then nausea hit. What was I doing? Mutilating a man because I couldn't be what my wife needed? Because I couldn't satisfy her? He wasn't the one who'd betrayed me, she was. He'd just done what plenty of guys would. The blame was hers. I let go, stepping back as he curled into himself, shielding what I'd threatened. My head throbbed, my body screaming, but I forced myself to walk away. His voice trailed after me. "You really think I'm the villain here?" he muttered, shaking his head. "You act like I'm the one who tore your life apart." His voice trembled, not just from pain but something deeper, something raw. "You ruined everything, Warren. She was supposed to be mine. She was gonna marry me. Those boys of yours? They should have been mine. She loved me, or she would have. We have been together since we were kids. We had something you'll never get." I stopped, turning to face him. "You're a damn fool," I said, shaking my head. "I was the best thing that ever happened to her, and you've never gotten over her choosing me." A bitter chuckle rattled from his throat. "Maybe you're right, Professor. Maybe I never did. But look at her now. She tried, man, she really tried to love you. Tried to pretend she could live without fire, be the wife you wanted. And me? I had to wait in the shadows for her to remember what she really needed. And you, poor bastard, you'll always be second best. Every time you touch her, every time she closes her eyes, you'll wonder who she's thinking of. And maybe you'll learn to live with it." I left him there, writhing on the cold ground, and stumbled back to the house. Later, standing in the study, Jocelyn faced me, her expression unreadable. "That's why he told me everything," I said, my voice flat. "People don't lie when you break their fingers." Her hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with horror. "For years," I said, my voice hollow. "For years, and he said you were desperate for him every time." I searched her face, the question burning. Was he really that much better than me? Tears welled in her eyes, her breath shallow. The way she looked at me, like she'd shattered everything good between us, cut deep. But beneath the guilt, I still saw love. "No, Warren," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Maybe a little, but that's not what this is about. I don't know how to explain it. It's always been like that with him, from the start. No one else ever made me feel that way. It was like a jolt, a spark." She shook her head, wiping her eyes. "I thought if I told you something was missing, we could have worked on it, tried new things, I don't know, anything. But how could I tell the man I love that another guy made me feel something he never did? No one's pride could take that." My jaw tightened. "Then why didn't you leave me if he was everything you wanted?" "Because he wasn't," she said softly. "The spark, yeah, but love? That was always you, Warren." Her gaze softened for a moment, and she reached out, brushing a tear from my cheek. I pulled away. "You love me," I said quietly, "but you're not in love with me. That's the difference." She choked on a sob, shaking her head, but I knew it wasn't enough. Nothing she said could fix this. I moved through the house, packing my things, suitcase, laptop, briefcase, loading them into the car with steady hands. When I came back inside, she was still there, arms wrapped around herself, trembling. She lifted her hands, reaching for me, but they hovered in the air between us. "I don't want this," she whispered. "Please, Warren, we can fix this. There's got to be a way." "There isn't," I said, my voice steady. I leaned in, pressing my lips to hers one last time. I tasted salt, her tears mixing with mine. When I pulled back, my voice was barely a whisper. "Our marriage is over, Jocelyn. I'll always be there for Jasper and Gideon. I want to be in their lives. But you and me? We're done. Because you hate me," she choked out. I looked at her, really looked at her, and what I felt broke me all over again. "No," I said, my voice heavy with grief. "I love you. That's why this hurts so much." I let out a shaky breath. "But you can't bring something back when it's already gone." I turned away as her sobs filled the room. I didn't hear the door open, but I heard it close behind me.